All right, we're live again. AX Football,
You know
February
what it
9th.
is. I am Body in the house as usual, dropping knowledge on fools. Make sure you subscribe, man. No freeloaders. Support the channel grow. That's all we like to see.
Well, they can freeload. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe.
Man, you young guys are too smart, man. That's true. That's a good point.
It costs us energy to produce the show, but it doesn't cost anyone anything to subscribe. So I think just out of courtesy, people should just subscribe.
Nice. They'll subscribe. We're moving up. What do we have on tap today?
All right, first topic, Barcelona, recent revival. They took it to Atletico de Madrid, beat them 4-2. Is this because Barcelona is just that much better, or is it because Atletico are also on the downside? Maybe a bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both. Atletico is on the downside. They've been on a run, 6 years, maybe 7 years?
Yeah.
And a lot of their players are getting old. So you expect it to come, especially when some of them have been with the same coach for so long. The part that is a bit strange though is they are actually like giving up goals before.
Goals.
Atletico used to be that team that you don't score on, and now they're giving up goals. So that's a little bit surprising. Barcelona, I do think, are slowly starting to come up. Watching the game, you can kind of see some of the ideas, like at least the old Barcelona that I knew growing up. With Messi and them, obviously they don't have those type of caliber players, but you can kind of see some ideas from the younger guys coming through. Now they got Aubameyang, he'll probably help. Memphis Depay is still hurt, he comes in. Once everybody comes in, I think they have some foundation. I still think they're not strong enough on defense, but makes sense. That's why they're trying to get the Chelsea duo too. So surprise results. It moved Barcelona into the top 4 and Atletico out of the top 4. So, and not long ago, Barcelona was a bit down. We both said they will get into the top 4, but I wasn't expecting Atletico to drop out of it. So
yeah, and Atletico Madrid is actually in a pretty rough run of form. I think they've only won one of their past 5 games now. So they lost to Barcelona 4-2. They lost to Real Sociedad in the Copa del Rey 2-0. They beat Valencia 3-2. They lost to Athletic Club Bilbao 2-1, and they drew against Villarreal 2-2. So only one win in their past 5 games, and they've conceded 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 goals in the last 5 games. I don't think that they've ever done anything like that before. So it's definitely a big moment of change for Athletic Madrid right now.
Yeah, for sure. But don't worry, they'll catch United next week in Champions League. They'll be right back where they need to be winning. So I hope not. I hope they'll continue that form through Champions League. I'd love to see United move on, but yeah, tough times out there. Unfortunately, I think what Simeone built, once he leaves, it's going to be hard for any new coach to come and continue what he built. I think we've talked about this. There's a difference between coaches that build systems, teams, organization structure that even when they leave, it lasts a few years after they leave, compared to the ones that get success based on just whatever their individual gift or talent is in coaching and building teams. Those ones are always difficult. Once they leave, everything falls apart. So, and then you have to literally start over. So hopefully he'll stay there for a little bit longer, but you never know. It might be time for him to move on too. So
yeah, but I think even if he moves on, I don't see where he would go next. Like, there's not a lot of clubs out there who are willing to relinquish the power and the creative control to a manager and say, hey, this is your club now. You bring in the players you think you need to bring in to fit whatever your style is. And they've actually been fighting him the past couple of years about it, trying to bring in João Felix and more technical, creative players. And he's like, no, I just want to defend, work hard, counter, whatever. And now we can kind of see there's that style conflict within the squad itself. Some of the players want to play more open, expansive, creative football, and then some of them are, they're OG Simeone boys. They don't care if they have to sit back and defend for 90 minutes and just take their chances when they come, but they're willing to do that work. So I think they're pretty close to a breaking point, and I'm not sure where Simeone could go, and they would give him that same freedom to play that kind of football that he wants to play, and also to bring in players of that ilk as well.
I think for sure where he played at Inter Milan too, if I'm not mistaken. So I could see him. Well, I mean, the Inter Milan, yeah, he's doing pretty good. I think you end up somewhere in Italy or Premier League, and it might sound funny to you, man, but I think if like somehow Tata like screws it up, or like Lampard doesn't get it done at Everton, I could see him taking one of those, either Arsenal, because I know they've rumored him with Arsenal in the past before when the job came open last time, and he said he's not leaving Atletico. So that's one that he could pull off, and I won't mind him. I think would be a good fit at Arsenal because they already have like a creative style already, an identity, and if he brings in their hard work and their technical know-how that the players want to work for, I think they should be good. The problem that they have right now is Arteta is similar to Simeone. He wants to play defensive, but because he coaches under Pep, he wants people to think he's a attacking, offensive-minded coach. But if you really watch how Arsenal plays, they're not. They're defensive, defense first, and attack second type of team. So I think he's having that clash over there of presenting himself one way, but actually coaching the team a different way in training. Because you can see when they attack, it's not as fluid. And him himself, he was a defensive midfielder that liked to stay back a lot, just shield the center backs. So you can see he coaches his team that way. So I think Simeone going there could work, but I don't think they'll let Arteta go because he's one, super cheap. He keeps selling the project like it's the youth. And I think Arsenal will do similar to what United was doing with Ole, try and get away with it for as long as they can.
Yep. Before they have to go spend real money and bring in somebody who's gonna ask real questions of them.
Yep. And it'll be too late by then, because let's not forget, Newcastle is slowly moving up the table. So if they survive, I'm telling you, that's the fourth team. They have the money to spend. They'll do the madness this summer. If they survive, they will go crazy. So right there, you have a problem. And then City is going to be there. Liverpool, I think, probably has another year left in them. Chelsea will be around there. Tottenham, even though they don't have the players, now they have a coach that will get the players and get them playing his way. You can see signs of it. So give them summer transfer window and it'll be a different story. So then I think, unfortunately, Arsenal and United are going to get left behind, to be honest with you. And once Newcastle goes in there too, that's 5 teams. So I think those two get left behind, unfortunately.
No, I guess we can talk about the Premier League in a little bit here. Let's stick with La Liga, Real Madrid, Barcelona. We'll catch up on the Premier League in just a little bit here. Reports earlier linking Robert Lewandowski with the move to Real Madrid. What do you think of that one?
Mamma mia. If he goes there, what are they going to do? Play a 4-4-2 with 2 number 9s?
No, I think it's going to be a fight between Lewandowski and Benzema, unfortunately.
Bro, I like Lewandowski, man, but I don't think what he's doing in Germany, he'll do it in Spain. I think Benzema is a class above. Maybe not with the goals, but if you include the overall game, his contribution to the team, assists, hold up play, all that stuff is much better than what Lewandowski does. And it's much easier for Lewandowski to do it in Germany than to do it in Spain. So especially looking at what Benzema has done, the last 3 years, since Ronaldo left and Gareth Bale kind of did his, or whatever he's doing, semi-retired or whatnot, it's quite impressive. Hitting 20 and 20 goals, 20 assists. That's only a few players I think have done that, like 2 or 3 seasons in a row. I think Henry might be one of them. Messi done it a couple of times, and Benzema is now doing it in his sleep. So I doubt, and the Real Madrid fans like Benzema. He's been there 12 years. Very few players survive at Real Madrid for that long. Even Ramos eventually got pushed out. So if you look at the age, Lewandowski is not on the young side, just a year or two, I think, younger than Benzema. I'll probably play with a 2, or maybe play with Benzema as a number 10. He could probably pull it off. But question is, if he leaves, then who will Bayern Munich back filling for? Because they normally don't pay a lot of money for players.
I'm telling you, in the perfect world, Lewandowski goes to Real Madrid, Erling Haaland goes to Bayern, and City just keep playing with the false nine like they've been doing all these years. Then everybody's happy. I can see that working out very well, actually. And I think if Lewandowski went to Real Madrid, like you were saying, I don't think he's the exact same class striker as Benzema. Yes, they're relatively comparable as far as the attributes of an old school number 9, but Benzema, I think, technically is a class ahead of him. Like Benzema, when he starts slowing down a little bit more, can easily move to like an outside mid or attacking mid position, like you alluded to. Lewandowski, I don't think, has that option. And that's the same thing when people compare Messi to Ronaldo. I say, well, Messi's longevity is actually higher than Ronaldo's, because even though he doesn't defend much, you could always put him in the midfield and he can pick passes off for days. Whereas Ronaldo, once he's done scoring goals, kind of like he is right now, he doesn't really have a other position where he can play very well. He's struggling to control the ball, struggling to use any of his skills. And I think what people aren't seeing is this is a guy who spent all these years, well, his first few years, practicing skills day in, day out. And then once he stopped practicing those skills, now you can kind of see like, he's actually miscontrolling the ball quite a bit, because it was a trained skill. Whereas Messi, I think, just has been able to do it, since he was a kid, controlling the ball without even trying, really. So I think Lewandowski, if he went to Real Madrid, would only be able to play down the middle. Benzema is still flexible enough where he can move around a little bit, but then you're talking about having Mbappe as well, Vinicius Jr. Also in that mix. So it would be hell of a competition for places in that team.
I forgot about all that. No, you spot on, and
they'll be cooking up quite a attack next year, man, if they can pull that one off.
And they might play with no defenders, man. Real Madrid, I won't be surprised if they do too. No, I think I always tell people there's 2 types of soccer players. There's the gifted soccer players, so they were born with their skill set, and then obviously they still train, and then there's the trained soccer player. Your trained soccer players are like the out and out competitors. These are like your Cristiano Ronaldos of the world, your Haaland of the world, the Lewandowskis of the world. Is everything they do is something that they like specifically work on. Like the ball comes to me, I'm going to touch it this way, turn that way, and shoot. So they're very programmatic. So people that you can tell, like when they were young, they were doing one-on-one sessions and stuff like that to improve their whatever. And then you have the gifted soccer players. So these are the players like your Messi, Ryan Giggs, Messi Olsen. They tend to be left-footed too, believe it or not. At least when I look at, they normally like left-footed players. James Rodriguez, these type of players, technical, super. Hazard is one of them. Benzema, I'll put in that category. Pogba, I'll put in that category. These are like gifted soccer players. These type of players, when they play the game, they almost look like they're bored, and it pisses people off. Like as a coach, even me, it pisses me off because I have players like that, where it's like they do everything in slow motion, and you're used to like seeing everybody do things intense. And then you have your in-between players who are half gifted and half trained. And I normally I'll put like somebody like your Zlatan in that mix, Alexis Sanchez in that mix. They like part of the stuff they do. Suarez in that mix is trained, part is gifted. So the problem that you have with the trained players is even if they play to an old age like Ronaldo is doing, it's just because they're sheer competitors and they don't want to give up. So they just keep fighting through it. They tend to play longer. Your gifted players like your Messi's, any given day, Messi could just come and go, you know what, I quit soccer. Like they could walk away and it won't bother them. They'll move on to the next thing. So you're right. I think Lewandowski, for me, is a trained player, a very good one. It doesn't mean that they're not good, but outside of play number 9, there's not much to his game. Like even Harry Kane could go more into the midfield, pick out passes. He's a mixture, I think, is half trained and half gifted. So he could drop into the midfield when Rooney's career was coming to an end. He was able to drop into midfield, picking passes. Giggs dropped into midfield, even to holding midfield at the very tail end of his career, because soccer just makes sense to him in his head. So any position you put them in, they figure it out. They can adapt. While as the trained players are very specific to a position. So once they're not effective there, they can't do anything else, and you spot on. CR7 loses the ball all the time, But if he gets a goal at the end of the game, nobody sees. Like basic stuff, his center of gravity is too high. If you watch him receive the ball, he receives it straight up.
Upright, like a tree.
Yep, upright. So it's a bit too stiff, right? So then when he gets a little contact, he loses the ball. And I think part of it is because he wanted to be the best in the world, he switched from being a skilled player training these skills to just being a goal machine. And the moment he started becoming a goal machine, I think like once he got to La Liga and he was competing with Messi, he just turned himself into a goal machine. And he just said, screw everything else, because he can't even do step overs. He tries to do step overs and falls over. Oh.
No, there was a part of the game last week where he tried to do a back heel and he back heeled it into his other leg and the ball went out of bounds for a goal kick. I'm like, what the fuck, man? No, it's sad to see. All right, next half of the show. Now we can talk about Premier League. I don't even know where to start with this one, man. I was at work and I timed my break perfectly so I could catch the first half of the Spurs and Southampton game. Man, it was a hell of a game, or at least the first half. I didn't catch the second half, but oh man, it was entertaining. Back and forth, both teams going at it full throttle, nobody holding back. And we already talked about this a little bit earlier, but the energy Southampton put out was ridiculous. And everybody talks about, Ralph Ragnick, Hasenhüttl, the real Ralph in the Premier League, was showing people how you play this 4-2-2-2 system. And man, they were taking it to Spurs, and Spurs at the end of it, they couldn't handle the pressure.
No, I watched the game. I think you messaged me about 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
So I turned it on, and off the bat, all I saw was just Spurs getting slapped all over the place, And but they were up 1-0. Southampton got the goal back, and then second half, I thought, okay, they'll go in. Spurs were just, it would be a little bit harder. Spurs came out, got a goal. It was unlucky. I thought it was a foul leading up to the goal.
Yeah, same.
It wasn't cold, but it was a swift counter-attack classic. So it still looks like they got some of that Jose DNA in them. And then literally like Southampton was still the dominant team, but as soon as they went down 2-1, it's like the same thing in the first half, something switched in their head and they just freaking panned Spurs. I mean, that thing was 50 Shades of Grey, bro. It was, they beat them up real bad. And I don't know like how you train a team to play for 90 minutes at that intensity. Like that's what I want to know. Like even in like the 85th minutes, there were guys sprinting like they were in the first minute. And I'm going, what the heck, man? Don't these guys get tired? But obviously they know what they're doing. The bright side for Spurs though was what's his name looked real good. Battencourt when he came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
very
looked
calm, composed.
Never panicked. So, and he's quite creative. He can pick passes to break multiple lines at a time. So I always liked him at Juve, so that was good. So I guess you gotta take the positive out of it, but it's 3 points, 3 big points dropped because United lost. And this was a good chance for them to pick up a couple points on them with a game. I think they have 2 games in hand. And then they still have it now. They have the same amount of games as Arsenal. They tied on points, but Arsenal plays tomorrow. So I think that was a big blow to them.
Yeah.
But good for United and everybody else. So,
well, for United, they actually have 2 games in hand on Arsenal and Tottenham, but they're only 3 points ahead of them both. So I think for them, they also need to start picking up the results again, because there was a time when it looked like they were about to leapfrog over West Ham, and then they took a couple steps back again, as United tends to do these days. So it's going to be a pretty good race, I think, for who finishes in that 4th spot. City, Liverpool, Chelsea, I think are pretty comfortably going to finish top 3, but the 4th spot, I think, could go down to the wire for sure. And when I was thinking about it, from team 1 until all the way, I'd even say to team 15, everybody's playing good ball. Like Southampton, Aston Villa, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Leeds, Wolves, Brighton, everybody's playing good ball, which I think is going to lead to some big scores like we saw today, 3-2 between Tottenham and Southampton, 3-3 between Villa and Leeds. So I think that trend is going to continue as we go to that end of the season, which for me, hey, as a mutual watching it, more entertaining for me. And hopefully people don't give up this trend in the Premier League, everybody trying to play good soccer, and just kind of like the old days when I started watching, just like, you know what, fuck it, we're going to give you 100% of what we got and see if you can handle us.
Yeah, I mean, that trend has been coming for a while now. I'll probably say the past 4 years is a lot of teams are now having foreign managers, which makes a huge difference. Is they want to play, and then it's forcing a few of the British managers. If you look at all the teams you named, I think outside of Brighton and Lampard just took over, but Brighton.
I didn't include Everton in that. They're okay. 16, so I said 1 through 15.
Okay, so there you go. So if you look, most of them have foreign managers.
Yeah.
And it's increased the level of the Premier League. They used to have the speed, but now you can see teams actually playing. It might be different versions of soccer, but it's entertaining to watch. Like even yesterday, normally when United lose, they've been playing bad, but the last 3-4 games, you can see like they're actually getting coached now. They played good, they just couldn't finish. And unfortunately, in that situation, the coach, you can't blame the coach, you know, because the soccer is good, the structure is pretty good, and they didn't finish, they didn't get the points they needed. So the soccer is good, I'll take it any day. Now, the question is how many of those players will be left over for them? And I think every year, the level of the league is going to improve. Everybody has money. Everybody's trying to get to the top, maybe not the top, but there's spots to fight for. I still do think that maybe I'm just being stubborn, but I think someone might still peg Chelsea for the 3rd spot, to be honest with you, before the season end. Their form has been pretty worrisome, and I think they built for cup competition, not for the long haul of a whole season.
Yeah, well, like I said, can't complain about the Premier League action right now. Most of the games have been pretty entertaining. Lots of teams playing really good football. So as a fan, that's all I really can ask for. I don't mind a good chess match. You know, one team sit back and try to absorb pressure and counter strategically, you know, and the other team tries to break it down. But just watching both teams go at it, and it's good quality football, not just, you know, fucking long balls back and forth. You got to appreciate that when you see it. I was actually looking at the results a little bit closer, and actually the gap between City and Liverpool isn't terribly far off. So right now it's 12 points, but Liverpool have 2 games in hand. And I know you always say you'd rather have the points than the games in hand, but they didn't really have much of a choice about when the games are getting rescheduled to. If they win both those games in hand, which they look like they'll do, they'll be just 6 points behind. They still play City later in the league, so they could drop it to 3 themselves, and all they need is a favor from one other team to take points from City, and they could probably win the league. So I don't think this one is completely done and dusted yet, but I definitely think Liverpool, especially how well they played without Mane and Salah the past couple of weeks, has been pretty good to watch. I mean, everybody thought they were going to struggle. They did draw Arsenal 0-0 in the first leg of that FA Cup tie, or was it the Carabao Cup tie? I think it was
that was in the FA Cup.
the Carabao Cup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tied 0-0 the first leg, even though Arsenal had a red card early in that one. But otherwise, they've been pretty spot on with the performances, the intensity, and also the goals, most importantly, without their 2 top goal scorers. So I think now when you bring them back into it, that's just going to increase the competition and the level of play even higher. So I actually don't see Liverpool slowing down. I think they're going to actually speed up and start putting 4, 5, 6 on people these next few games.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. All they need is, if they can get to that City game, only 6 points behind. Win that game, I don't think they would, but if they pull it off, because what's their next set of games? What they're playing? They're playing Leicester tomorrow. You expect them to win that. Burnley, you expect them to win. And they have their Champions League game, so fine. And then they go to Norwich, Leeds, Arsenal. So their next 5, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Their next 5 league games, all winnable. And they have to play Norwich twice. Oh, no, one is FA Cup, sorry. So their next 5 league games, all winnable before they get to Chelsea. So I think they might be able to do a little bit more damage. Now the question is, where is City going to drop points? You still need City to lose maybe 1 before then. And you look at City's next set of games, they have Norwich, so that's going to be 8-0. Shoot, I should go pick all City defenders, and that's not available for fantasy because that's going to be easy points. Then they have Tottenham. Yeah, maybe it's not so bad. They have Tottenham. If Tottenham gets a result.
City, that's a tricky one, man. I'm looking at the fixtures too. And then besides Everton, Norwich and Everton, I don't really see any guaranteed points until they get to Burnley in April. So
I think you're right. So it doesn't look as done and dusted. I think the top 2 will be between Liverpool and City. They'll fight it out, and then from there it'll be a fight between everybody else through 15th, to be honest with you. And then the relegation battle is getting pretty exciting. Norwich is moving up the table, so I think this will end up being a very fun season. Slowly, Everton has been pulled into the relegation battle. Leeds have been pulled into it, and then Brentford is pretty close to getting pulled into the relegation battle. So it should be a fun one, which I think that's what the league is supposed to be every year, all the way to the end.
Yeah, no, but for me, the bottom 3 teams and then maybe Everton are the only ones who could seriously go down. Newcastle, I think, they just jumped out of the relegation zone. I only see them going up from here. Everton, I really don't rate Lampard as a coach. Everybody's like, oh, he's a good young guy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what's his philosophy? Is he a pressing coach? Is he a defensive and counterattack? Is he a 4-4-2 long ball? Like you don't know what his style of play really is or what his philosophy really is. So when you go into a club and you see him bring in 2 players who I don't really think are all that similar, Dele Alli and Van de Beek, I'm like, okay, well, what's the thought process behind this? Sure, they're good players, but why are you bringing them both in if you're thinking maybe they played the same position and you already have other players there? So I just don't see how it all adds up.
He's overrated, man. Think about it. He had one of the biggest club in the country, all this money behind him, and he was struggling. He said they went nowhere close to winning anything.
Yeah.
Somebody comes and takes it over and wins the Champions League 6 months later, and they're still in the top 3. Most of the time, your next job should be like a championship job or something to try and prove, because he never proved himself in the first place, even with Derby. So to try and restart yourself, but he doesn't do that because it's Frank Lampard. His uncle is well connected. His next job is to Everton. Imagine that. Like, those are the type of stuff that I think kind of hurts the English Premier League, and slowly I think they are getting away from it, where the same amount of coaches used to recycle themselves amongst all the teams. They leave this post and they go there.
Yeah.
They leave here. So unfortunately, I don't think he's done anything to show that he's improved and deserves like his new chance. And I think it's going to be proven right if you guys look at the signings he made. I think Van der Beek was good. But why take Dele Alli on the money he's on? He think because he knows Dele Alli, he could just motivate Dele Alli. Dele Alli is a demotivated player. He's already made the money, he's had the fame, and he's comfortable. Van der Beek can understand he wants to prove a point. Dele Alli doesn't have any point to prove. Dele Alli has had 3 coaches with more experience who've worked with some of the best players to ever play, and they couldn't get him to perform.
Yeah.
He came in the other day, and for me, he was the same that he's been the past 2-3 years. So I think he's demotivated. I think he's dating Pep's wife, Sadada too. So he said, yo, screw this, man. And that's the rumor. A lot of people say he went to Everton so he can be closer, because Pep is in, bro. So that right away, man. If I want a player, man, I want to be opposite. I want you to go somewhere else so you can be hungry for stuff, not go closer to your. He's crazy, man. His days are done, man, as a top level player.
No, I think they've been done for over a year now, to be honest with you. But yeah, I do think it's funny that you mentioned the Premier League used to recycle the same coaches over and over again. Like Avram Grant, Steve Bruce, Tony Pulis, those kind of guys. They'll just hop from this club to this club. Yeah, Lampard is trying to create the next generation of that, It's from Chelsea to Everton, and next he'll go to, I don't know, whatever club needs a new manager in the Premier League, but definitely undeserved. Last one today, there was another report saying that somebody in the United camp spoke to another player in the United camp, and they've agreed that Mauricio Pochettino should be the next manager after Rangnick's season is over.
Yeah, I saw that, and unfortunately, these players need to focus on playing, man. They've had Jose, Ole, Ralph. They've bombed it under all of them. There comes a point where the players have to deliver. It's not their place to figure out. If I was in the United board, and I know United board have been wanting Poch for a long time, and then when Poch was open and he came on Sky Sports, then the interview go, yep, I'm ready to work. They should have sacked Ole then. I think we talked about it. They didn't do it. He went to PSG, and now they want him. But if literally anything that these United players agree with or the board agrees with, I'll normally do the opposite.
Yep.
They haven't proven to make the right decisions. So for me, I like Poch, to be honest with you, but just because everybody at United now won board the players, I'll go the opposite direction, and these guys are idiots. He'll come and they'll throw him under the bus too. They won't work, and they're like, yep, we want the next person. Go and get me like a drill sergeant for these guys.
Yeah. Now. No, I definitely.
The Ajax coach is the perfect one for them, but I don't think he'll come to United because they're so dysfunctional.
Yep, precisely. I think any good coach with a backbone and a good demeanor won't take this job because they know they're going into a circus. It's like Pochettino and the job he took at PSG. He wanted it because the caliber of the players and the caliber of the job. But once he arrives there, he's like, I literally have no power. I'm standing there on the touchline talking to these prima donnas, trying to get them to play one way, and they just do whatever they want to do. You're not even coaching anymore. You're babysitting. And United players, I feel like they want them to come and do that exact same thing. Go there, babysit, make sure all the best players all play, have favorites and all this, and just make everybody be happy and kumbaya. But that's not what United needs. That's not what PSG needs. They need managers or coaches who will come in and say, you know what, these handful of players are not allowing me to conduct the trainings the way I want. They're not allowing the team to play the way I want. We need to get rid of them, and have the club back you up and say, okay, let's get rid of them. Who do you want to bring in so that you can actually play the way you want to play? And I don't see that happening, not just at Manchester United, but I don't see it happening at PSG either.
Both clubs think about slowly. PSG has been coming like a market, and if you look at their marketing, their social media, they're becoming pretty stuff like United and Arsenal are. And the moment a club start thinking about that, it's hard to win on the field. I guarantee you next year, Ronaldo will be at PSG and it'll be Ronaldo and Messi playing on the same team. You watch. And it'll give you short-term gains, but long-term, it'll set you back. And that's what I said the day Ronaldo came to, and I like Ronaldo when he was younger and even halfway through his Real Madrid stuff, because I like Madrid too. But the moment they signed him, I was like, yo, man, this will set all the young United players who are slowly starting to emerge back 3 years. And that's exactly what happened. Martial stopped playing. Greenwood went to Prison FC. Who else? Who else was playing? Rashford is just bad. He's not. Donny definitely wasn't getting minute. They had Cavani there. So those type of signing, though you might think it's a win-win for you right now, it's actually a loss. The reason why City wanted to sign him was City actually didn't have any players doing what the coach wanted. So you could have just fit them in there just to get the goals. They'll create all the chances.
Yep.
And you can go from there. But United being United, they always react. As soon as they hear City wants somebody, they overreact. And I think half of the time it's just City just playing with him. Look at the Alvarez kid. We talked about him. They're like, oh, 40 million. United want they want 40 million from United wanted to buy. City goes and gets him for 17 million. So that means these clubs see United as idiots, or whoever negotiates as an idiot, because they have the money, they just throw it away, or what? How can you get quoted 40 million you're about to pay and City goes and gets the kid for 17 million? It makes no sense. It was the same thing with Fred. They were quoting City like what, 35, 45 million. United go and buy him for like 50 million. I'm like, what? Like Maguire, the same thing. City wanted him for 50 million. Nope, United goes and pays 80. It just, whoever does their negotiation is, I don't think, is good at it. And a lot of them are bankers, but they do their calculations from like the business standpoint to go, we have Ronaldo. He has the most followers on Instagram, 400 million. More than anybody, 400 million. So do the math. If his followers are buying his product, whatever he's putting on there, man, that's money for United. So that's how they make their signings. And unfortunately, that doesn't give you results on the field. So
yeah. No, it's interesting stuff at United for sure. And like, unfortunately, we've agreed upon, I don't see them changing anytime soon. And everybody thought, with Ole, his last few results, they hit rock bottom, losing to Liverpool and then to City. I'm like, no, this isn't rock bottom. Rock bottom is when you're literally bottom in the Premier League and you realize something has to change. Arsenal I actually thought was pretty close, but Arteta slowly has been able to work some kind of African voodoo and get them playing decent soccer again. And the youngsters are now performing, so they don't look that bad. But United, I think, need to get to that point where they're literally at the bottom looking up and going, we're last in the table. Something needs to change.
Yeah. That's United for you, man. They let you down, and every game I turn it back on to go, okay, it'll get better. And it's one of those bad movies that never ends, We shall see. I think by next year, if they clean house. Right now, I'm on loan at Sevilla. I'm a Sevilla fan while Martial is there. So I loan myself as a fan to Sevilla. So we'll see.
All right. Well, next week's show we got Champions League action returning. My favorite competition. I'm super excited about that one. So that's probably going to take up most, if not all, the show next week. We hope you enjoyed this week's session. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Like John, like Iron B always says, no freeloaders.
Yes, thank you all for checking it out again. Another show done. Slowly we'll keep building up. So as always, we're trying to give good, insightful knowledge from our perspective. These are our opinions, how we see the game. And leave your comments too when you come on, share your ideas, what you think, if you think we're wrong. If you like our opinions, if you have an opinion, just share it so we can create a fun, engaging community.
All right. Sounds awesome. All right. AX Football.
See you next week. Dropping knowledge all the time.
All right. See you next time.